Welcome to another episode of Heffron on History. Today, we are going to talk about manifest destiny. All right, the concept of manifest destiny comes from a quote from a newspaper publisher. His name is John O'Sullivan in the year 1845. And he wrote, "It is our manifest destiny to overspread the continent allotted by Providence for the free development of our yearly multiplying millions." My students, we take this and we break it down a little bit, right? It's our manifest destiny. It is our destiny. It is what is meant for Americans. To overspread the continent, to swarm over and take over the continent, pushing whatever or whoever is in our way out of our way. The continent allotted by Providence. Providence is another word for God. So God wants us to. For the free development, that means so that we can just do whatever we want with it, of our yearly multiplying millions. At this time in this country, millions of people are immigrating to this side of the planet. It's about to explode with the Irish and the German immigrants coming to this country, and this concept of manifest destiny is we need a place to put all these people, and that is the concept of manifest destiny. Now we'll take a look at how that happened. This is a painting which was made by a man by the name of John Gast in 1872. It's called American Progress, and it is probably the most widely used painting image to explain manifest destiny. I use this in my class. This is in our textbooks. This has been in numerous textbooks that I've used over the years. So this explains manifest destiny very, very well. The way I teach this is I have my students identify what they see in this picture. And of course, the first thing that they see is the figure that is front and center. And almost everybody that sees this identifies that as an angel. She's floating in the sky above everyone, above everything. And we've already talked about the definition of manifest destiny, so they know that the whole concept is kind of on a mission from God, right? So this is identified as an angel, and I say to the kids, which direction is she looking? Well, she's looking to the west. Excellent. And then we go around the picture and I say, okay, so what else do you see? Well, I see some farmers. In the lower right-hand corner, you see some farmers. And next to them, you see some miners. The guy with the red shirt with the shovel in his hand kind of identifies them as miners. What else do you see? I see a little house, a little log cabin. Okay, what else do you see? I see what looks like maybe wild animals. Is that a bear? Is that a wolf? It's kind of hard to tell in the lower left-hand corner. Okay, what else do you see? I see Indians. Great. What else? I see a stagecoach. Okay, keep going. We see a wagon with some oxen or horses and a little man walking next to it. We see bison in the upper left-hand corner. We see what turns out to be the Pony Express right above her knee. You see a man on a horse. That's the Pony Express. What else do you see? I see trains. Great. In fact, there's 3 different sets of trains there. What else do you see? I see a river with ships in it. I see a bridge. I said, that's great. What direction are they all headed? Well, they're all headed west. You have all of the progress of America from farming to mining to transportation in its different various forms, moving to the West. And I said, okay, now what is she holding? Well, she's holding a rope. Most often the kids will say, well, that's not actually a rope. Look a little closer. And they say, well, is that a spool of wire? I said, well, it is. And what is she doing with that spool of wire? Well, it looks like she's creating telephone poles. Well, those aren't telephone poles because that's too early for that. Those are telegraph lines. She is expanding telegraph lines. So what else is she holding? She is holding a book, okay? That's like the book of knowledge. Which direction is the telegraph lines moving? To the west. Which direction is the book of knowledge headed? To the west. Now look at the sky. What does it look like in the east? Well, it's bright and sunny. And to the west, it's dark and stormy and cloudy. So this implies she's bringing what to the west? Bright sunshine and happiness and success and all of this. Which direction are the bison and the Indians being driven? To the west. Because they're in our way. That is the definition of manifest destiny. All these things are being pushed to the west, good or bad, regardless of who or what is in our way. And it's all because God wants us to. That's the concept of manifest destiny. You should turn to a shiny new page in your spirally notebook and you should draw this pretty map. So this is the expansion of the United States. It's our destiny to expand west, right? So initially, the United States, when it first declared its independence, was just along the eastern seaboard. It was the 13 colonies. They went up to basically the Appalachian Mountains, and that was it. After the American Revolution was over, the Treaty of Paris, we got this big old chunk of land known as the Northwest Territory. Next, Louisiana was purchased from France, and we acquired this gigantic chunk of land. When Lewis and Clark went exploring the Louisiana Territory, they just kept going until we eventually got to the Pacific Ocean. So you could call this area kind of the Lewis and Clark seizing of property. We had Florida joining the United States in 1819, Texas in 1845, and then the Mexican Cession, which will solidify kind of the continental United States. Now there's a couple other smaller areas, the Gadsden Purchase. There was some land up in here, there was some land over in here, there's some land up in here that is a part of other smaller agreements. But whether this land was purchased, seized, stolen, I like to think of it as land that has been acquired by the United States, and it is steadily marching west. And we are, it is our manifest destiny. It is our destiny to take over this land. It is the destiny of the United States to control everything and everyone on the continent. We are eventually going to even try and seize some part of Canada. And that's going to be eventually decided on this line as the northern boundary of the United States. We're going to eventually acquire Alaska. We're going to eventually acquire Hawaii. We're going to have some other territories that eventually we're going to get rid of, Cuba and the Philippines being key among them. But this is the concept of manifest destiny. We are just going to take over this whole area. Manifest destiny, you could say it's still alive and well in 2026. when President Trump was talking about acquiring Greenland, that's manifest destiny. When the subject of acquiring Greenland came up in the news, the words manifest destiny were absolutely part of the vocabulary being used by newscasters and politicians alike. It is our destiny. So that's the concept of manifest destiny.